the island of nightmares. Jeffrey Epstein's global web of secrets. Picture this. August 10th, 2019. Early morning at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Manhattan. A guard makes his rounds. When he reaches cell 220, he finds Jeffrey Epstein hanging from a bunk bed, already dead. Just like that, one of the most infamous men in modern America was gone. Here's the thing about Epstein. He wasn't just some random criminal. This was a billionaire financier who'd rubbed shoulders with presidents, princes, and tech titans. A convicted sex offender who somehow kept operating in plain sight. A man accused of running an international trafficking ring involving minors. His death didn't end the story. If anything, it made everything more complicated. The conspiracy theories exploded overnight. The outrage went global. And we're still picking up the pieces. But if you really want to understand what happened in that cell, you've got to go back to the beginning. 1953. Coney Island, Brooklyn. Jeffrey Edward Epstein comes into the world as a regular kid from a working-class Jewish family. His dad worked for the parks department. His mom was a school aide. Nothing fancy. He was smart, though, really good at math. Charismatic, the kind of guy who knew how to work a room. He went to Lafayette High School, tried Cooper Union, then NYU. But here's where it gets weird. He never actually graduated. So imagine this. A college dropout somehow lands a job teaching calculus and physics at the Dalton School in the early 70s. We're talking about one of Manhattan's most elite private schools. The kids there? Children of Wall Street, titans, diplomats, people with serious money. How does that happen? Nobody really knows. There's no good explanation for it. But whatever connections he made at Dalton changed his life forever. One parent worked at Bear Stearns, a powerhouse investment bank. Next thing you know, Epstein ditches teaching and jumps straight into high finance. No business degree, no track record, no formal training. Somehow he just slides into the world of America's financial elite. By 1982, Epstein's running his own show, J. Epstein & Co. And get this, he claims he only takes billionaire clients, not millionaires. Billionaires. That's unusual, to put it mildly. Most money managers build their reputation slowly, working with a diverse client base. But Epstein? He insists he's too exclusive for that. His biggest known client was Leslie Wexner, the guy who founded Victoria's Secret. And Wexner didn't just hire Epstein, he gave him incredible power. We're talking power of attorney, control over massive amounts of money. Epstein even ends up with Wexner's 9-story Manhattan townhouse, one of the biggest private homes in New York. From there, the empire grows. A Palm Beach mansion, a 10,000-acre ranch in New Mexico, an apartment in Paris, and then the island. Little St. James, 72 acres in the US Virgin Islands, purchased in 1998. The locals had a different name for it, Pedophile Island. They'd see helicopters coming and going, private yachts, young girls being brought over. People asked questions, sure, but answers? Those never came. Now, Epstein didn't do this alone. Enter Ghislaine Maxwell. Her father was Robert Maxwell, a British media mogul who died mysteriously in 1991 after falling off his yacht. The official story was an accident, but rumors about intelligence connections followed him to the grave. Ghislaine moved to New York right after her dad died. She met Epstein. They clicked immediately. On the surface, they were the perfect power couple. Socialites throwing dinner parties for scientists and politicians, philanthropists, connected. But according to the victims, Maxwell played a much darker role. She recruited the girls, young girls, teenagers, often vulnerable, often from broken homes, often desperate for money. The pitch was always similar. How would you like a modeling opportunity? This wealthy man needs a masseuse. This could really help your future. It started at $200. Then the abuse would escalate. And then, here's the really sick part. The girls were pushed to recruit their friends. It was a pyramid scheme. But instead of selling products, they were trafficking children. Maria Farmer tried to blow the whistle in 1996. She said she was abused at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse and his New Mexico ranch. She went to the FBI, and nothing happened. Years went by. More victims came forward. Still nothing. Why? Because Epstein had friends in high places. Flight logs from his private Boeing 727. People started calling it the Lolita Express. Showed some pretty heavy names. Bill Clinton flew on that plane multiple times, though he's denied knowing about any crimes. Prince Andrew was photographed with Virginia Roberts Giuffre, one of Epstein's main accusers. Andrew denied everything, but eventually settled her. Lawsuit for millions. Donald Trump knew Epstein socially in the 90s, though he said they fell out later. Academics, tech billionaires, politicians. The guest list raised serious eyebrows. How did a guy like Epstein build that kind of influence? 2005. Finally, a crack in the armor. A 14-year-old girl in Palm Beach tells her parents that a man paid her to give him a massage. The police start digging. They find dozens of victims. Surveillance footage shows young girls going in and out of Epstein's mansion every single day. Detectives want serious felony charges. But in 2008, something absolutely insane happens. Epstein cuts a deal, a federal non-prosecution agreement. He pleads guilty to 2 state prostitution charges and gets 13 months in county jail. Except he's allowed work release, meaning he could leave jail 6 days a week, up to 12 hours a day. Oh, and the deal gives immunity to anyone who helped him. Not just Epstein, his co-conspirators too, the victims. They weren't even told about the deal until it was done. The outrage was massive. But somehow, it faded. Epstein went back to living his life as a wealthy, registered sex offender. Then 2018 rolls around. Julie K. Brown, an investigative journalist, publishes this massive expose about how shady that plea deal was and the full scale of what Epstein had done. Public fury reignites. Federal prosecutors in New York reopen the case. July 6, 2019. Epstein gets arrested at Teterboro Airport. This time, it's sex trafficking of minors, federal charges, no sweetheart deal. The culture had changed. The #MeToo movement had shifted how people saw these cases. Survivors were ready to speak up. And Epstein wasn't getting out this time. Bail denied. He sits in federal lockup, waiting for trial. Then things get strange. July 23rd, he's found in his cell with injuries to his neck. Semi-conscious. They put him on suicide watch. 6 days later, they take him off suicide watch. August 10th, he's found dead. Official cause, suicide by hanging. But immediately, questions start flying. Security cameras mysteriously malfunction. Guards don't do their checks. Records get falsified. Attorney General William Barr calls it a perfect storm of screw-ups. Was it suicide? Was it something else? Officially, there's no evidence of foul play, but public trust absolutely shattered. With Epstein gone, everyone turns their attention to Maxwell. She vanishes for months. Then on July 2nd, 2020, the FBI tracks her down in New Hampshire. Her trial starts in 2021. Victims take the stand and describe in painful detail how they were groomed, recruited, and abused. December 2021. Maxwell is convicted on multiple counts of sex trafficking minors. 2022. Sentenced to 20 years in federal prison. For the survivors, it's something. But is it justice? Not really. Because the big questions still loom. Who else knew? Who else participated? Were powerful people protected? Was Epstein collecting blackmail? Thousands of pages of documents are still sealed. Computers and hard drives seized by the FBI remain mostly undisclosed. In 2023 and 2024, some court documents get unsealed, revealing names of associates and witnesses. But naming someone doesn't mean they committed crimes. It just means they were connected somehow. The debate continues. Here's what we know for certain. Jeffrey Epstein spent decades abusing vulnerable girls. He exploited poverty. He exploited ambition. He exploited trust. He operated across multiple continents. And he did it while hobnobbing with some of the most powerful people on Earth. His wealth and connections protected him for years, until journalists, survivors, and public outrage finally forced the system to act. The Epstein Victims Compensation Program eventually distributed over $120 million to survivors. But money doesn't give you back your childhood. Settlements don't erase trauma. Verdicts don't answer every question. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. But the shadows haven't gone anywhere. The island got sold. The mansions got sold. The jet's been grounded. But the questions remain. How does a college dropout rise that fast? Where did the money really come from? Why was he protected for so long? And who else was involved? This story isn't just about one predator. It's about power. It's about influence. It's about institutions failing when it mattered most. It's about the terrifying reality that if you have enough money, you can delay justice. Sometimes for decades. For the victims, this was never a conspiracy theory. It was real. It was traumatic. It changed their lives forever. And while the headlines eventually fade, their memories don't. This was the island of nightmares. And even in death, the secrets of Jeffrey Epstein continue to haunt the world.